back to Unaware Commentary, the place for Pokemon TCG battle narration that doesn't care about the stats.
Welcome back, trainers, to another exciting Pokemon TCG battle narration with your Unaware narrator. We're catching up with our players here as the battle is commencing, with our player 1 on the left with the Ho-Oh Matt, going into the deck with a Buddy Poffin after drawing for the turn a Pecharunt EX in the active position. Looking at the deck here, looks like it is going to be that Zoroark EX. Our player 2 on the right with the Pokemon Center playmat, starting a Mega Kangaskhan EX in the active position, a Munkidori there on the bench, a Pokepad going to be played by our player 1, going to go into the deck and find a non-rule box Pokemon to place onto the bench. Looks like we're eyeing up an Ends Zekrom after 2 Enzora hit the bench off of that initial Buddy Poffin, a Dark Energy and a Binding Mochi finding their way onto that benched Ends Zora, and just a pass over to our player 2, who is drawn for the turn, drawing a Dark Energy. Looking at the hand, going to go into the deck with a Mega Signal. Going to take a look, we see a Ogerpon there in the deck, a Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon. Possible this is an Mega Absol EX build, as we see that Mega Absol find its way onto the bench from the hand. No cut of our player 1's deck after shuffling the deck. Our player 2 here shuffling up, likely not going back into the deck here. Going to potentially see some additional cards off of Run Errand. Did not want to draw into that Mega Absol, so chose to go into the deck early, just taking one more look to see what could be locked behind those prize cards, as in setting up for the Pokemon trading card game. 6 cards are set aside from the top of the deck before starting the game that are only seen through the taking of knockouts or shuffled into the deck and replaced through something like a redeemable ticket. So those initial deck searches are vitally important in figuring out what resources are going to be available. We are going to see that Run Errand, draw an Ultra Ball, so likely going back into the deck here to find another Pokemon. We do see multiple options for our attachments for turn in the Dark Energy and the Mist Energy. In the hand, we are going to see the Ultra Ball, determining which resources are going to not be initially vital, the discarding of a Pokegear 3.0 and a Boss's Orders into the discard pile, being chosen as the least useful resources available in the hand, meaning there is likely an additional supporter available to our player 2 here. Going to see the benching of a Pecharunt EX and the shuffling up of the deck. Interesting to see that we haven't quite gotten to an attachment for the turn. Going to see that Mist Energy find its way onto the Mega Absol EX, and a Janine's Secret Art going to go into the deck and find 2 Dark Energy, attach them to 2 different Pokemon. And if an energy is attached to the active Pokemon in this way, that Pokemon is poisoned. Unlikely that that energy is going to find its way onto the Mega Kangaskhan, rather find its way onto the Absol there, as well as likely the Pecharunt to set up for other plays or an E-Search play in the future. There's the energy onto the Pecharunt and the energy onto the Absol from the Janine's Secret Art. No means, or we could have put the Absol into the active, but chose not to go for the attack this turn. Just a pass over back to our player 1, the benching of an Yveltal that was drawn for the turn, and a Lily's Determination and going into the deck. Going to shuffle up. We didn't see an attack on that previous turn because Claw of Darkness does require 3 energies, and Terminal Period is going to require 6 damage counters on the board. So that Mega Absol much closer to being set up than it would be without the Janine's Secret Art, but not quite ready to start dealing damage. Would have been big to take 2 prizes on that Pecharunt EX should we have seen something like an energy switch in the opening hand. Our player 1 did shuffle their hand into the deck with a Lily's Determination. Going to see 8 cards here off the top of the deck, as no prize cards have yet been taken. Going to see what resources become available. A Zoroark EX in the hand, a Meowth EX in the hand to try to find a supporter for the following turn. But our supporter for turn having already been played, we are going to see our first trade, a Ends Darumaka finding its way into the discard pile, a Dark Energy and a Binding Mochi finding their way into the hand, the Binding Mochi finding its way onto the Ends Zorua, a energy finding its way onto the Ends Zoroark, determining whether or not we're going to go into the deck again with something like the Pokepad, or if we're just going to see a subject getting changed from that Pecharunt EX, pushing that Zoroark EX into the active position and poisoning it. Going to increase the damage of a potential attack with the Binding Mochi. The Pokepad here being played, going into the deck to find a non-rule box Pokemon. It is going to be that Munkidori, so possible we see some Munkidori wars here with the two monkeys passing back and forth damage counters that could land upon Pokemon throughout this game, as it is difficult without some damage modifiers for there to be knockouts taken throughout this battle. Going to likely see a rampaging Thunder from the copied off of the Ends Zekrom on the bench from the Zoroark EX's Night Joker attack, allowing it to duplicate any of the attacks on the bench of from the bench end Pokemon of our player one that ends Zekrom, the most likely target, as scratching doesn't seem ideal if we were copying that Zorua, but we do have to deal with the secondary effect of not being able to attack on the following turn, as that is what Rampaging Thunder requires, 1 damage being taken between turns from the poison. 2 cards being drawn here by our player 2 after the draw for turn from the Run Errand, finding a Team Rocket's Petrol, going to go into the deck and find a trainer card. Possible we see something like an Energy Surge here, or we are going to see the Hero's Cape, as we know that there's a dark energy in the hand from the previous turn. Having looked at the hand, Hero's Cape going to be able to buff up the HP of one of our players' Pokemon by 100 HP. So we already difficult Mega Pokemon are to knock out in one hit when we don't have decks like Raging Bolt that hit those high damage numbers. Zoroark EX going to be able to see interesting combinations of cards throughout the play, but not going to be able to deal the amount of damage necessary to hit 380 on that Absol. Going to see the activation of Subjugating Chains, pushing the Mega Absol into the active position and poisoning it. Likely going to see a Claw of Darkness here, doing 200 damage to that active Zoroark EX. Not quite going to be enough to take a knockout, but are going to take a card out of the opening, out of our hand here. Lots of options of duplicates there, though. A couple of Dark Energy that could be duplicated by the Night Stretcher, a Boss's Orders that is duplicated by the potential playing of a Meowth EX on a following turn. Going to see the trade here, discarding a Dark Energy, drawing of a Pheasantipede and a Pokepad into the hand, neither of which are integral in getting us anywhere this turn. Going to see the attachment onto the Munkidori of a Dark Energy. Going to be able to move damage counters around. 30 damage going to be moved across the board from that 290 that was done. Going to knock out the Mega Kangaskhan EX on the bench. Not able to get away from being knocked out, even though it is not knocked out on this turn. Going to see potentially another attack here. We do see an Ultra Ball taken off the prizes, discarding the Ends Darumaka and the Buddy Poffin. I think those were all of the prizes that were taken by our player one. Going and finding another Ends Zoroark out of the deck, finding its way onto that benched Ends Zorua. Going to potentially see another trade here to see some additional resources and cards. Want to see some additional energies get into play this turn. Going to see a Subjugating Change of the Yveltal into the active position, free retreat back. Going to see the Rampaging Thunder. We did miss that other trade. I think our player one got a little bit ahead of himself, forgetting about the Hero's Cape being present. 290 damage still being done to that active Absol, but definitely not enough to take a knockout, and a Munkidori is present on the bench. A follow-up Claw of Darkness will take a knockout here. I'm not sure if there was a Boss's Orders in the hand, just confident about being able to track down those 3 prizes, knowing that the ace spec in the deck is the Hero's Cape. Not going to see something like a Scoop Up to be able to pick up the Absol here. Moving 30 damage over, not going to be enough to take it out of range of something like a follow-up here. And E-Switch could allow for multiple Munkidoris to be activated. Munkidori alone is not going to knock out the Ends Zoroark in the active position, so that 30 damage is going to find its way across to one of the other Pokemon here, or just onto the active. Not quite going to take a knockout, but going to get that damage off the board. Not going to be available for our player one to utilize on the following turn to up damage numbers. Claw of Darkness here again. Going to take a card out of the hand. What do you take here? So many options to be able to grab other things, recognizing that there is not a second energy on, or an energy attached to that benched Ends Zoroark. So we're going to take the energy out of the hand. So even though Night Stretcher could grab that energy, as there are multiple energies in the discard pile, going to make it slightly more difficult for our player one to track down all of the necessary pieces to be able to get an attack off here. And Ends PP up going to be an essential part of getting an attack here, as we'll need to accelerate more energy out of the discard pile onto our Pokemon, determining if it may be worth playing a Meowth. We do know that Boss's Orders could be the play here, or not going to be technically necessary. We are looking at the Hero Scape, just checking the HP available, recognizing that a Rampaging Thunder would be enough. We did see the benching of the Pheasantipity, determining that shuffling into the hand would not be the best play. Going to see the Lily's Determination drawn here, determining what way we're going to see the most cards. We do have a Scoop Up Cyclone, so potentially going to be the ace spec of the Zoroark EX, potentially a way to get cards out of the hand. Going to see the playing of a Pokepad, likely just to thin out cards, finding of an Enza Zora, shuffling the hand up here, determining whether there is a need to be able to see the most available cards, needing again to find that ends PP up to be able to get an attack off this turn, as there is a Night Stretcher to be able to get the energy out of the discard pile. Going to see the flip the script here, an Ends Castle, a red card, and an Ends Zekrom. Going to be the cards drawn here, so not an option to get an attack off in an obvious way. Potentially going to put that Stadium in play so that the Yveltal being lost or the Pecharunt being lost is not the biggest deal, but it's unlikely that we'd see both of those disappearing. Is it worth going into the discard pile here and grabbing an energy just to get one on the board and a little bit ahead? We don't have a second Zorua set up here, so there is a way to potentially knock out the Zoroark through something like a Boss's Orders, the attachment of a second Dark End Energy, and a Terminal Period. We do see a Lily's Determination coming out here. As we've already flipped the script, it's possible that we could find an Ends PP up, but not the optimal means of approaching these cards, as Lily's Determination does see 6 cards here. It is a shuffle away and then draw, but shuffle away then draw of potentially finding Ends PP up, energy, and then or one of those options, and then flipping the script may have been a better option for our player. Drawing of those 6 cards, a couple of Boss's Orders, a couple of Dark Energies, an Ends Zorua, and a Meowth. No Ends PP up still available. We already saw the attachment of the energy for turn off the Night Stretcher, just not being able to find the proper pieces here because we attach, not going to be able to activate something like the Yveltal. We're just going to see a pass over and that poison tick up onto that Mega Absol EX. Is there a Boss's Orders and an energy attachment to be able to Terminal Period that Zekrom and take all of the damage off the board? We do see the E-Switch being able to take the energy off of the Pecharunt. Is there a Boss's Orders available in our player 2's hand? I can't quite see it there. Oh man, such tension here, as it's possible we could just take the best available attacker off the board and take all the damage off of the board, so there wouldn't be an option for Monkey Dory to track down this Absol for a KO either. Could put us in a difficult position. We are seeing the activation of the Adrenabrains, moving damage over. Not quite sure where that damage is going to hit. Looks like we're setting up the conversation about it. I would think if there's a Boss's Orders, we would have just seen it come straight out. Just a peek at the hand there. I did not see it. Likely not going to be an option. Nope. Moltres, Mega Signal, Mega Absol, and a Luminous Energy. So we could put an energy into play onto one of those basics, as the energy for turn hasn't come down. It was E-switched over to the Monkey Dory. Could see that Luminous Energy come down to make that Pecharunt a potential attacker. But right now, we just have to be able to get this Absol out of danger, as it does represent a 3-prize liability at the moment. Potentially just going to see a Claw of Darkness here. Going to see 30 damage being moved onto the active Yveltal, just trying to potentially buff up the HP of the Mega Absol with the Hero's Cape. A tough position to be in, as the Moltres in the hand, even if we benched it, attached the energy, and pushed it forward, it would not do enough damage to take a knockout on a Zoroark. It is going to be important to get that Mega Absol out of the active position, so that it necessitates then something like a Boss's Orders. We see 2 Boss's Orders, 2 energies in the hand. There's not an option of a card to Claw of Darkness here that is going to put the Absol in a position where it will survive a Rampaging Thunder. I do think the writing is on the wall here, folks. We are going to see the choosing of a card, and our players be able to play this out for us. The promotion of the Zoroark to the active position, draw for turn, attachment of a Dark Energy, big Rampaging Thunder, going to take a knockout on the Mega Absol EX. 3 prizes taken. That'll be the game. We'll catch you next time, trainers.